5 tips to improve at healing in World of Warcraft. My name is Elben Ninja 7, and currently I am working on a series where I am blitzing all 7 healer specs to 3000 Raider IO. And with this challenge comes a lot of responsibility to have transferable knowledge, not just one knowledge on my main Mistweaver monk, but a lot of knowledge that transfers between all 7 healer specs. So that is what I'm going to be sharing with you guys today. 5 tips to improve at healing across the board. And hopefully these tips can help you push beyond the milestone that you're working on currently, maybe push from 20 keys to 25 keys. Let's jump into it. So number one, we're going to start off with probably the biggest tip on this entire list, and that is that the best way to heal damage is to prevent the damage. Now, at first, this probably sounds very stupid and simple, like just don't stand in the swirly, don't take damage, then you don't have to heal damage. But that's too easy. That's not what we're talking about. There are a couple different ways that us healers can prevent damage from even happening and can be smarter about preventing what damage in certain instances. And this tip is more applicable in more ways than you think. So, number one is by dispelling as soon as you can. The faster that you dispel someone, the more effective healing that dispel has done. So for example, if a dot is ticking on someone 5 times and each time it's doing 10,000 damage, just to make the number simple, if you dispel them after the third tick, then you're only using your dispel to heal the next 20,000 damage that would have happened from that dot. But if you dispel them immediately, you are healing with that dispel 50,000. And now that is a small number example, but hopefully you can scale that up to some of the dots like the infected thorns in Waycrest Manor, scale that up to some other dungeons and understand just how important quickly dispelling dots is. It can save so much damage. Also, utilizing your CC, your crowd control, more effectively. I'm not saying more often, because in a lot of cases, as a healer, using your CC in the most effective, efficient manner does not mean pressing it right on pool, or it might mean using it less times in a dungeon. For example, say that you're running up on like Blackrook Hold, that first pool to your right, where all of those casters are sending soul bolts left and right at your allies. Now, for the most part, if you see that those soul bolts are going on different people, maybe one on the tank and one on your mage, then you can kind of let those casts go off. If anything, you can kick the mage, the one that's going toward the mage, because you know your tank is going to be okay. But the moment that you see 2 soul bolts going towards your mage, then using your kick, then like saving it for that first example, using it now, you are now eliminating a potential death. Whereas before you were just eliminating potential damage. And obviously when those soul bolts one hits one person, it's not that terrifying. You can heal that up pretty easily. But the moment that 2 go on the same person, it just gets terrifying. People will die, or most likely, and you will spend so much more time healing them that it is just going to snowball into a disaster. So using your kicks and crowd control more efficiently. Also, if you have an AoE stop like Psychic Scream, Leg Sweep, also use those in instances when multiple casts are going on the same person, which we will get more into that in one of the future tips. But if you realize that you are not pressing your CC enough, then this could, for you, mean to just get in the habit of using your CC more. In a lot of cases, I kind of use my leg sweep as a Mistweaver as a mini cooldown. And it doesn't work for every pack. But for example, in a Tall Dazar, when you go on those packs where those little raptors jump left and right at everyone, for the most part, I can just spinning crank kick to heal that damage. But eventually, that spinning crank kick isn't going to be enough and I'm going to fall behind. But in order to save my cooldowns for more giant pools coming up in the future, a lot of times I will just use my leg sweep so that my spinning crank kick has more time to catch up on the healing. So just using your crowd control more effectively is incredibly important as a healer. This tip also applies with externals, so putting your life cocoon on the tank when they run into a big pool to prevent that first initial death. Like say you have a Blood Death Knight, they're running in pulling 2 packs. The most terrifying part is that very beginning before they have enough time to build up their death strikes or their healing. So using your externals effectively and often is very important because the amount of damage that you're saving over a dungeon by pressing your externals more on your DPS that gets targeted by a mechanic, it equates to a lot less healing that you're having to do, a lot less scary scenarios where otherwise you might have lost those DPS or that tank player. Now, moving on to the next tip, and that is to plan your cooldowns at least one pull ahead. Now, this might sound pretty simple to some of you guys because this is kind of just how you play your dungeon. You know, I'm going to Chi-Ji this pool, so I need to revival the next pool, or I have Mindbender here, so I can barrier the next pool. But for newer players, or especially people who are new to the dungeon that they are in, that is probably the number one thing that is setting you back. You might send your Shayloons and send your Chi-Ji and revival this pool, but then you're kind of left with nothing for the next pool. So what I always do at the bare minimum is I compare the pack that I'm currently pooling to the pack that I know I'm about to pool. And in doing this, I can kind of assess which one needs the more serious cooldowns. Maybe I need to save Chi-Ji for this next pool because if I use it now, it won't be up in time. So instead, I'll just rip a Shayloons now and spot heal a little bit more on this pool so that I can have Chi-Ji up in the next pool and save the whole group, keep everyone from dying. And the more you do this, you'll kind of notice that if you get into this habit, just focus on this pool and the next pool, you'll notice that eventually you've made it through a whole dungeon and you have planned your entire cooldowns for that entire dungeon because you're going always taking a step forward, focusing on the next pack, and it can really help line up your cooldowns and not make you waste any cooldowns or overheal certain portions and then get caught on the next pack with your pants down. This tip can really save you on some wipes. The third tip is a little less obvious than the last two, but it's a major tip, and that is to take instant heals or reactive spells out of your rotation. These should not be rotational because the higher you go in keys, the more deadly non-deadly mechanics become. Like one Soul Bolt now does over half of your health in like a plus 28, whereas in a plus 24, it might do less than half of your health. So smaller amounts of damage or smaller instances of damage will just kill you. So if you are in the habit, like I currently am on my Resto Shaman, of pressing Nature Swiftness and then Chain Heal just to do a little bit more maintenance healing, then you need to break that habit immediately because every single healer, all 7 specs, has a finite number of spells that can do instant reactive panic button heals or panic button spells. And you want to make sure that you always have one of those up because it can be the difference in life and death for one of your DPS or even yourself. So some examples of this other than Nature Swiftness on Shaman is Nature Swiftness on Resto Druid. Now Nature Swiftness on Resto Druid is very important because you literally only have Nature Swiftness and Swift Mend to spot heal in an instant. Other than that, what do you have? Your Grove Guardian Swift Mend, which is a lot less impactful. So you want to make sure and save these spells. Also, one big thing that I see since I specifically coach Mistweavers is I see a lot of times people have taken this tip to use your Expel Harm for damage in single target scenarios, and then within the next 15 seconds get caught with their pants down because they take a slam from a mechanic, don't have Expel Harm to save themselves, things like that. Really think about which spells in your kit are your panic buttons, and try to at least always have one of those on reserve. So take them out of your rotation and save them, put them on your tool belt for when you need them. Tip number 4 kind of goes for a lot of classes, not just healers, but it's especially important on healers. I can attest to this because this is how I feel like I have improved so much over the past few years because I started doing this, obviously being a YouTuber. So tip number 4 is to record your footage and watch it back. Because how many times has someone died in your key and you didn't know exactly what killed them? Well, the amount of mistakes that I have noticed I was doing just by being able to go back and watch it is almost uncountable. This is a step that every single top end and pro player has done because it's hard to see every mistake as it happens in real time. From learning how mechanics work to learning that you've been mis-sequencing your spells this whole time, this is the best tip to correct any of those mistakes. You can take this step to the next level and improve so much faster by bringing more people into the mix. Now, I am personally lucky enough to have you guys, and I think I've done myself a favor by just from the beginning, I leave all of my mistakes in my videos. As embarrassing as they might be, it will help me improve because I have you guys to help with feedback. Now, in your case, you have a lot of resources as well. You can either take your clips that you just don't understand or you can't figure out by yourself how people died or what you could have done differently. Post it on Reddit. Ask Reddit. There might be some troll comments, but there might be some people that actually give you some good advice. Also, there are a lot of different Discord communities. I know my Discord community would absolutely love to watch a little 3-minute clip if you just can't figure out what you did wrong, or maybe a whole VOD, a whole Mythic Plus dungeon. I personally would love to watch that, and my entire Discord community loves that kind of stuff. So just posting your clips, if you have watched them, reviewed them, can't figure it out yourself, post it, let someone else watch it, or send someone else in your guild your VOD, let them roast you. Just have fun with it, but that is such an amazing way to see what you personally are doing wrong, because me as a YouTuber, I can only make one guide. I make one guide, and however many people watch this, I can only fit so much in there. But if each individual person is making their own individual unique mistakes, it's hard for me to self-correct that without focusing on each case. But you also have access to coaching. Now, not everyone can afford coaching, but I do know, as someone who does offer coaching, that there are coaches that offer different tiers, like short coaching sessions or long coaching sessions. Some people charge a lot less than other people, because I know some pros charge crazy money for coaching. But once again, just get someone else's opinion, because a one-on-one teaching environment is invaluable when talking about getting better at Mythic Plus or rating. And number 5, one that is very fresh on my mind from one of my coaching sessions. I'm not going to shout you out, I'm not going to call you out, but you know who you are, and that is to fix a few things in your UI. Now, right off the bat, the first thing that I noticed in my most recent coaching session was that the player that I was watching had so many audio cues. Now, audio cues can be an amazing thing. They can help you know when a frontal is coming, or when a big slam of damage is about to come out, or when one of your cooldowns comes off cooldown, just to make sure you don't miss it. But when you have all of those things and then some making audio cues, it can be a lot. And as a healer, you guys know, you guys understand that being reactive and having all of your brain power focusing on your rotation so that you can be ready to react when you need to is so important. So just overloading your brain with 1,000 little audio cues, it can be too much. So make sure that you only have the necessary things making audio cues, the necessary things flashing on your screen. Try to limit the amount of big impactful UI things, and I promise you guys, it'll lessen your mental load and make you just a better player. It can give more of your mental capacity on the important stuff like reacting, healing, doing your rotation correctly, that kind of thing. Also, make sure you can see who each cast is targeting. I don't mean you don't need to see who your mage is targeting or who your warlock is targeting. I mean, when you come up to a pack, you need to know who the damage is about to hit before it happens. Because if you remember, back on tip 1, I was talking about this is such an important piece of information that does not take up, it can not take up any room or real estate on your screen, but it can save lives in your keys. So if you see that 2 soul bolts are coming to the same person, you as the healer knows I need to either life cocoon them, pain suppress them, bark skin them, or kick one of those so now only one is hitting them, or use my leg sweep, that kind of thing. It can really help you problem solve before the problem even arises, before it even becomes a thing. So that is a major small UI change that you can make that can save so many lives. Since I've changed that, I feel like it's hard to quantify, but I have become such a better player because of this small minor change, and it really helps with the tip number 1. Also, as a healer, it is so important to know every single debuff that is out at any given moment. So the last little piece of this tip number 5 is to make sure that all debuffs are visible on your nameplates. Even the ones that you can't dispel, the magic debuffs, the poisons, the curses, you want to make sure that you see that they are on the player, so you know you don't just want to see their health bar ticking down and react before it's too late. You want to see that this curse is on them and ticking down at their shield so that you can go ahead and start rolling those hots on them so they don't get threatened by that damage. But also, it's very important to make sure that you know what your dispel personally dispels, like does it dispel toxins, can it get rid of curses, that kind of thing, because it changes from healer to healer. But this can be very helpful if you change the border or the color, the icon, whatever you have your UI set up, just change it to where it looks differently for if this curse or this debuff is dispellable versus if it is not. Me personally, I play a monk, so the ones that are not dispellable are purple. The ones that are dispellable are either blue or brown for toxins, that kind of thing. You really want to make your UI as easy and as friendly. Make it like dumb it down. Keep it simple, stupid. Keep it very simple. Try to make your eyes have to do the thinking for you so your brain doesn't have to spend any power on it. But guys, hopefully one of these tips helped you, because I know that these are the 5 tips that have helped me improve the most. And I know a lot of you probably already know some of these tips, but I really think that I see these mistakes made the most, or these problems that are easily solvable made the most. So guys, if you have any other tips that you think should have made it on this top 5 list, leave those down in the comments below, and go ahead and be scrolling down there, see what other people are saying, because my viewers have always been good at leaving me very helpful information and tips in the comment section below. But while you're down there, make sure and hit the like button so that this video can be shown to more healers that need these tips. And also make sure that you guys are subscribed so that you don't miss any future videos, any future guides, any future content related videos. Just make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss anything that I post in the future. But guys, I do want to give a few shout outs. One is to my patrons. These are the guys that carry this channel. I would not be able to make videos like this one or my guide videos if it weren't for these guys. So shout out to them. And if you want to join them on the screen, then make sure and click that Patreon link down in the description below. And also, the day that this is going up, hopefully I get it up in time, but on March 9th at 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., I will be having a 12-hour live stream over on twitch.tv/elbinninja7 or on YouTube, on my YouTube channel. So come hang out. It's going to be a good time. If you're seeing this video on the 9th, get there quick, because you don't want to miss one of the events that I have planned. But guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it helps. And if you have any questions, feel free to join my Discord. Send me a Discord DM. I respond to all of them, or comment down below on this video. But guys, thank you so much for watching and for all the support lately. I'll see you on that 12-hour stream. Until then, take care.